very dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good at Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody. Good morning, y'all. What's happening? I hope all is well. I got Coltrane in my ears. He's on the radio. Can't play him on Facebook or they'll be tripping. Let me get my Twitter space popping. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Talking about reparations today. All right. That's Twitter Spaces live and popping. Let me get Instagram on. Good morning to the gram. The gram is on, y'all. All right. Everybody's on. If y'all want to hear the music, you got to go to WTCCFM.org. Certain sounds I can't play, unfortunately. On the internet. Because, on the internet, they be tripping. So that's all I can tell you is they'll shut the whole stream off. So I can't play Coltrane to y'all. So if y'all want to groove to Coltrane, you got to turn on the radio. I'll pull up something in a minute that y'all can hear that they don't mess with me on. But good morning, TGIF. Happy Friday. Hope all is well with everybody. Hope y'all are doing wonderfully splendicious. Good morning to everybody. Come on, rep your city, rep your town. I see you, Mr. Poet. Bless you, sir. Everybody that's everywhere. Welcome. Let me get some Ferris Hill in here and I can turn the sound up. But the essence of growth has changed. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, go a little further, come on, reach a little higher, come on, yeah, dig a little deeper, go a little further. Let's get it, y'all. Come on, don't stop. The essence of life is growth. But the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today. For it is your daily routine that determines your success or failure in life. It's the choices that you have made up until this point. All right. The rest of your life. So break the cycle that doing and good enough. You only get out what you put in, so don't settle for the crumbs when you can have the whole loaf. So push yourself beyond your limitations. Come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Don't stop. Come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Don't stop. So you got to break the routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success. Good morning. There are no elevators to the top. You got to take it one step at a time.
You got to break the routine of allowing others to get into your head and control who you are and where you're going. You see, when you're
Let's
about
go.
positive, you're going to always have haters. But don't let your haters push you down. Let your haters push you forward to the next level. So when people show you who they really are, don't perceive them to be something else that they're not. See, a zebra does not change his stripes. So you got to keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yeah, there you go. Come on.
Dig a little deeper.
Come on. Yeah.
Go a little further.
Go a little further. Come on. Come on. Yeah. A little higher. A little higher. A little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Go a little further. Come on. Come on. Come on. You got to understand the greatness is the nature that you were born out of. You'll never discover your greatness without hard work and dedication.
Yeah, Francesca, we're gonna get into them.
And what you expect for yourself.
Hey, baby girl.
Greatness will always attract greatness.
I see you, Mother Kirsch.
Show you the future. You just a step away. You just a step away.
H-Town. What's happening, H-Town?
Don't ever give up. Come on. You just a step
H-Town
away.
in the
You're
building.
almost there. Come on. You gotta push yourself beyond your limitations. You see, there's no mountain too high, no valley too low. You can go where you want to go. It's all in the power of your imagination. If you can see the invisible, you can do the
field.
invisible. So stretch yourself. Take yourself to the next level. Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper.
Go a little further. Yeah.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
There's a blessing right around the corner.
Come on. Blessings are coming your way.
And since Larry Elder's tripping, y'all, and all that stuff, and we got to deal with this reparations thing, I'm going to play a response to the sellout.
Don't stop. Don't stop until you get to dream. Don't stop. Get to dream. Until you get to dream.
Check this out.
You say you sold out because black women are loud and crass. What? And your precious white woman is the epitome of class? Are you so blind that you cannot see? That pale girl child ain't got nothing on me. For hundreds of years, we have stood by your side, accepted your flaws and allowed you your pride.
Allowed you your pride.
Bore your children and cleaned up your mess. Satisfied your lust and always settled for less. We have stayed in the background and allowed you to lead.
Oh.
Trusting in your strength and ability to succeed.
Oh.
Never getting the praise and credit we
deserve.
But having the courage, the will, and the nerve. For being the backbone that has kept it together. For you and our children in all kinds of weather.
All
and
kinds of weather.
You say we're not good enough for you. We forced you to sell out because of the things we did. Well, where was that white woman when that white man you hate was cracking the whip? In the boardroom, the warehouse, and on the slave ship.
On the slave
she
ship.
Stood by his side and didn't say a word, waiting for her own chance to rule and be heard. And now it's her you turn to and treat like a queen. And me and my sisters you choose to demean? Well, hold up, wait a minute, and stop the damn bus.
Stop the bus.
There are a few things I need to remind you about us. Listen up. A more beautiful creature God never made than an African woman, no matter her shade. High, yellow, red bone, or cocoa brown, we are more than worthy of wearing a crown. Ebony, mocha, or black as the night. It is we who have always shared in your plight. We are passionate, spiritual,
loving and kind.
A more generous heart you'll never find than the one that beats inside the body of a Nubian queen. The hardest working, loving, giving woman you've ever seen. For we give and forgive until there's little left. Then we're forced to put up our guard to avoid your theft. The theft of our hearts.
Let's
and our
get it,
trust,
y'all.
the very nature of our soul, by our so-called brothers. Who
So-called
are just
brothers
playing the role.
playing a role.
And you wonder why some of us act as we do?
Like Larry Elder.
Look in the mirror, because the answer is you. It's not enough that the white man has always tried to keep us down, but our own men act as though they'd love to see us drown. And white women have never invited us to join their equal rights struggle. So we're out here alone with a million things we juggle, raising the children that black men leave behind. And dealing with the racism of the daily
corporate grind.
Damn, it's no wonder some of us are loud. Hell,
we're just trying to be heard.
In a world where everyone, including our men, ignore our every word. Where are the brothers who understand a black woman's worth?
Right here.
Who will protect and stand by us, for we are the salt of this earth. We birthed you, raised you, and showered you with love.
Yeah.
It was we who taught you to love your creator above. We gave you all we had and taught you to be men. Open your eyes. It is us.
Frisco, Texas. Let's get it.
Not Bo Derek's kind who raised a perfect 10. And one final word for the sellout who
claim to be brothers.
When you turn your back on us, you disrespect your mothers.
YouTube in the house. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. That is a response to Larry Elder. A response to the sellout. A response to the sellout. All right. I know there's some listening today. I know there's some of y'all out there. Y'all know who y'all is. Y'all know exactly who she talking about. You know who you are. If you didn't know, I know somebody told you. So don't be sitting here acting like you don't know who we talking about. Some of y'all got some of them in your family. Anyway, good morning to each and every one of you that are chiming in from wherever you are chiming in from. Let me call the roll a little bit because I see some of y'all in the building. Let me get back to my chat section because, there we go. Greenville, South Kakalaki, up in the building. Enfield, Connecticut is in the building. Pennsauken, New Jersey. Union, New Jersey is in the building. St. Louis is in the building. St. Petersburg, Florida is with me on this marvelous day. Frisco, Texas is in the building. Baltimore, Maryland is in the building. Grand Rapids is up in the building. Chicago is in the house. Springfield, Mass is in the house. Houston is double and triple and quadruple up in the house. Kansas City, Kansas is in the building. Toronto is in the building. Johannesburg is in the building. Where y'all at? Let me get over here to the gram. See, Alcoa, Tennessee on the gram. Seattle, Washington on the gram in the building, representing. Yes, keeping it real. New York is in the building. Yes, you are. Orlando, Florida is in the building. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you are chiming in from. Love to acknowledge Chicopee. Yeah, Chicopee. Richmond, Virginia is up in here, y'all. Richmond is in another Seattle is up in the building. Man, I got the West Coast up in here. I got the down south up in here. I got Canada in here. I got South Africa up London, England in the building. Yes. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Reparations is the order of the day. That's what we're talking about today. It wasn't really going to be my subject. Welcome to the Black Love Experience. I hadn't even, properly introduced. Anyway, welcome to the Black Love Experience. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. Shout out to the founder of the Black Love Experience. Over 30 some odd years ago, right here on this very radio station. Ben Swan, and we'll be celebrating him again coming up next month with the school that has been named after him. It'll be on September the 7th at 10 a.m. at the DeBerry Swan School. So we'll be over there for the ribbon cutting, recognizing and honoring my Uncle Ben Swan. Las Vegas, Nevada is in the building. Good morning to you. Where y'all at? Let me see. I don't know if I gave. Let me jump over in the Twitter space just to see if they shouted out, if they rep their city or their town. I don't know if it's the Twitter space anymore, if it's the X space. That's the new name, X. Anyway, let me see. Let me see if anybody's shouting out their city or their town over here. The sister speaking the spoken word, vote constants, that's Rhonda Swan. Rhonda Swan. You can look her up anywhere you stream music. You can find her there. All right, y'all ain't repping your city and town on Twitter, so it's all good. They in there, but they just ain't repping. 413-736-2781 is the number here. If you want to get in on the conversation, if you're in the space, of course, you just put your requests in, or you can just holler at me in the comments. Good morning to everybody from everywhere. So let me play this clip. My sister Teslin, and y'all check her out. She's got a new show coming on Revolt TV. She's already on Straight Shot No Chaser podcast. She's got a new show coming out on Revolt TV called Tez on 10. I can't wait to see what's happening on that. But you can catch her every morning on weekdays on The Breakfast Club, on doing the news. And so they've been interviewing presidential candidates. I call it coon season on The Breakfast Club, because they've had that Ramaswamy guy, the Indian guy who wants to be white. They've had him on. I believe they had Cornel West on, hopscotching and tap dancing. And now they had Larry Elder on. So his coon season on The Breakfast Club. I see you, North Texas, in the building. So they interviewed Larry Elder. Let me see if I can find. I put a very short clip up. Here's the clip Chaz put up. This dude said reparations was a waste of time. I want to dissect some of the stuff that dude had to say. Let's take a listen. Let's just take a listen at what he had to say on The Breakfast Club with Tez and them.
Now, because it's in that, all of a sudden, the governor is accused of somehow defending slavery. He's not doing anything of the sort.
You were actually one that defended slavery. In your comments, you said that, like it or not, slavery was legal in response to reparations. So it's you that was defending slavery, correct?
Defending it and saying that it's illegal are two very different things. Slavery, unfortunately.
That was your response into if reparations should happen. So your response to that was, like it or not, slavery was legal, and one would think that was a defense on those who were asking.
Well, you would think it was a defense, but it is not a defense. Unfortunately, slavery has been part and parcel of human history from the very beginning. Asians enslaved Asians, whites enslaved whites, blacks enslaved blacks, Native Americans enslaved Native Americans. There are a lot of people have bloody hands in slavery. For example, slavery could not have existed had it not been for African chieftains who were selling black slaves captured in battle or captured through raids and selling them to European and Arab slavers. It could not have existed without
That's
that.
a lie.
So everybody has dirty hands here. That's why reparations is such a foolish thing. If you're going to get reparations from the 5% or so of white people that have some sort of generational connection to slavery, and that's all there is, then you need to go back to Africa and get money from African countries that were involved in the slave trade and in the Arab slave trade.
All right.
By the way, the Arab slave trade was even worse than European slave
let's cut
trade.
the coon off. Okay, yeah, I got to cut the coon off. So let's unpack some of that. Let's unpack some of that foolery that was just spewed out of the mouth of Larry Elder, and that continues to be spewed out of the mouths of sycophantic black folks who want to tap dance for white folks and pretend that America doesn't owe the descendants of enslaved Africans anything at all for enslaving their ancestors for generations. Rape, murder, brutalization, dehumanization, for all of the heinous horrors of American chattel slavery, the worst form of slavery in human history. They want to pretend that nothing is old. And the argument is always, the first argument is always that the current generation, that this is always the point. The current generation shouldn't be forced to pay for policies that no living American was responsible for. They shouldn't have to pay black people who may or may not be descended from slaves. You know, that's what they use to try to make it controversial. The second point they always use is that the Union soldiers who died on the Civil War battlefield paid the debt that was owed to slaves. That basically, those who died in the Civil War, gave their lives, they paid the debt. Matter of fact, in his second inaugural address, Abraham Lincoln even said that basically, your debt is paid. Even though they would continue to keep them on the plantation and sharecropping, even though they would continue to brutalize them and lynch them, even though they would have to deal with the horrible crucibles of Jim Crow and all of the things that they fought for in the Civil Rights Movement, up until this day, that basically because we fought the Civil War, your debt is paid. Now, of course, this view is clearly wrong. And let's simplify it. Just think about it for a minute. If a mugger beat you up and caused you serious injury, you would hardly think it was sufficient for them to just stop. The debt is paid. I stopped beating the hell out of you. You know, that's sufficient. That's sufficient. No, to be made whole, you would need compensation. You would need protection from further injury. You would need to have your medical bills paid, any trauma you went through, any type of psychological help you needed. If you missed work, there's so much more that would be entailed in repairing. That's what reparations means. That's where it comes from. It is to repair damage that has been done. All of our tort laws in America are based on this premise. And there's a vast system of personal injury lawyers, insurance companies, and courts that attempt to redress the harm that people incur from accidents, from corporate malfeasance, and any other suffering that can be traced to other parties. They have a whole portion of the law that deals with this, but somehow, some way, when it comes to the damage that was done to black people by generations of enslavement and brutalization, all of this goes out the window, and the fact that we stopped ought to be good enough, and we don't owe you anything. I mean, this is how ridiculous Larry Elder sounds and everybody who parrots this narrative. There are some obvious torts that come with slavery, like assault and battery. conversion, wrongful confinement. You know, if somebody held somebody as a slave today, they could collect damages. You know, and then here's the other thing that he says is, and this is what they try to do all the time: nobody alive today had a slave. How come that is only the standard when it comes to consideration for black people receiving reparations? Think about it. Larry Elder says only 5% of white people are linked generationally to slavery. First of all, let's be clear. Reparations is not about what white people are linked generationally to slavery. What percentage of white people can be linked to slavery? Slavery was not about individual white folks who owned slaves. Because even if you were white and you didn't own slaves, you lived in an America that condoned it. You benefited from it. Reparations is not about individuals, Larry, Uncle Larry. Reparations is about a nation, is about America. A nation that normalized the enslavement, the rape, the brutalization, and the dehumanization of a people simply because they were black. It's about what America did. It's about a system that America allowed to thrive. And a system that built this nation. The blood, the sweat, the tears, the free labor, the forced labor of our ancestors built this nation. It's about companies, colleges and universities and institutions that were built on the backs of slaves. Harvard University, built on the back of slaves. I can go through the list of companies, USA Today, Aetna, so many other companies built on the backs of our enslaved ancestors. Companies that many white folks who never owned slaves worked for through the years, benefiting from slavery. Everybody who got a Harvard degree, you're a beneficiary of slavery. So you can't even calculate how people benefited from slavery. Then the other argument is, well, my ancestors, they immigrated. They had nothing to do with slavery. Why did they immigrate to America? Because they wanted to be part of the American dream. They came over here because America was deemed the land of opportunity. How did America get to be the land of opportunity? How did it get to be the richest nation on earth? How did it get to be what it is? Because of slavery. So even if your ancestors immigrated here and never owned a slave, they are the beneficiaries of slavery. So reparations is about the institution of slavery that America allowed to happen. It's about what this nation normalized. So whether you are part of the so-called 5%, and I haven't confirmed that number, that's just a number that Larry Elder spewed out, but let's pretend it's true. So whether you're part of the 5% of white folks who can generationally be connected to slavery or not, you're the beneficiary. And then here's the other thing. You never hear these coons argue that America shouldn't have paid reparations to other groups that they've paid reparations to. America paid reparations to the slaveholders, to Southern slaveholders for their loss of property. You'll never hear Larry Elder and these coons argue that America shouldn't have paid that. You don't hear that. And all of the other demographics and groups that America has paid reparations to, they never argue America should have never done that. America has even given reparations to Jewish survivors of the Holocaust, and the Holocaust didn't even happen in America. You don't hear them talking about that. You don't hear them arguing against the $4 billion that goes to Israel every single year. You don't hear them arguing against. Joe Biden just asked for another $28 billion to send to Ukraine. They've already sent about $80 billion there. Nobody's arguing that Ukraine shouldn't have got over $100 billion in the last 18 months. But they got so much to say about the descendants of the black people whose forced labor built this nation, that they shouldn't get a dime, that we shouldn't get anything. We should just forget about it. We should just get over it. I mean, and then you've got some institutions who have decided that they're going to take a proactive step, and they're going to allocate monies. And then the courts have frowned on those efforts. They frowned on them. They don't want individual institutions trying to redress their own culpability. For example, Georgetown University benefited from slavery. They have identified the names of enslaved black people that were sold by the university in 1838, and they pledged $400,000 a year to their descendants. A proactive step, by Georgetown University. The city of Rosewood, Florida, established a scholarship fund for descendants of the 1923 massacre that destroyed the black section of Rosewood. So there are some institutions, cities, towns, organizations that are taking some steps to be proactive because America won't do anything about it itself. Now, the other thing is you never hear coons like Larry Elder argue against reparations anywhere else. I mean, the government of West Germany paid reparations to the state of Israel to compensate for the Holocaust. And this has generally been considered a good faith effort to acknowledge a harm that money can't ever fully redress. They clap their hands for that. People like Larry Elder, they clap their hands about West Germany providing reparations to Israel for the harm done in the Holocaust. But then over here, where the ancestors of black people were done wrong, this coon is on the Breakfast Club talking about reparations is stupid. Yeah. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And on and on and on. And we don't know what the debt would be. But the fact of the matter is the debt is old. It's old. And they had no problem paying debts to other demographics. And I'm going to go through a list of them momentarily. No problem paying reparations to other folks. It's just that when it comes to black people, reparations becomes a problem. Tayson, help me.
That's Taz, Bishop.
All right, you got the mic. Good morning.
Good morning. First and foremost, thank you for allowing me to speak. We see this issue, and it's going to continue until, in my opinion, until we dismantle white supremacy from the left wing, and that is the liberal wing of white supremacy. We know now that Republicans and Democrats, they play a good cop bad cop game with African Americans. They've been doing that, using us as pawns, as a political football, since Lyndon Johnson was in office. Now what they're doing is the white left will acknowledge our issues, but they'll conflate our issues with their primary issues, which are abortion, LGBTQ, vaccinations. They conflate all of those issues with our primary issue, which our primary issue is the damage caused, the social, political, and economic damage caused by anti-black racism in the United States. That is the predominant issue of the African-American community and black people in general. But we cannot get traction on that issue, on curing that issue, because whenever we do, we have these white politicians and the white constituency of the liberal wing will pretend that they're our friends, they'll pretend that they're with us, and then they'll infuse their issues, their agendas with our predominant issue, and then will effectively reorder their issues with our issues. Now, the reality is, and we have the courage to admit this, when we look at the power dynamic of politics in the United States, the white Christian right runs the Republican Party. They are the power brokers in the Republican Party. The white Jewish left are the power brokers in the Democratic Party. Yes, we are there. Yes, we occupy positions, but we know where the power is. And we can't be scared to be called reverse racist when we call out the white Christian right, or anti-Semitic when we call out the white Jewish left. Because if we can talk about the power of the African American community, which we do have in the Democratic Party, if we could talk about our positions of power, if we could talk about our influences in hip hop, in American culture, as a group, as a collective, then we can talk about the white Jewish community's power and their collective and how they actually distribute their power and work. We see now this is kind of a smoke screen. This is more of a whipping stick. Is you better not talk about our power. You better not talk. We can talk about you, but you better not talk about our positions in the Democratic Party or in media or in finance. And that's bullying. That's tyranny. And if we really want to address the issue, cure the issue of the damage, the social, the economic, and political damage done by anti-black racism, then we are going to have to identify the true culprits of white supremacy and our sabotage. And I'll end on this. I came up in the Church of God in Christ. The reason that I am here today in the United States and that I'm successful is because of the presiding bishop, Bishop Sexton, who's no longer with us. I'm no longer part of Kojic, but Kojic is the reason that I'm here, that I survived, the black community, and that I've been successful in this country. And I appreciate everything that's been done to me and given to me by the African American community, and more specifically, the Church of God in Christ, Mount Sinai Cathedral on Fulton Street in Brooklyn. Yes, and just the glorious, amazing man, Bishop Sexton, and all the mothers and the fathers in that church that allow me to be here and to live and thrive. And thank you again.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I remember Bishop Sexton well. Bishop Clarence Sexton Sr., his son had succeeded him, is now a bishop. But he was the vice chairman of the General Assembly for the Church of God in Christ for many years before he passed. Fond memories of Bishop Sexton. Thank you so much for chiming in with that powerful dissertation of what is happening. one of the things that Larry Elder alluded to, and they always do this. They use the blacks sold blacks into slavery. You know, his whole diatribe about if African chieftains hadn't done this and that, it wouldn't have been possible. That's a lie. That's a lie. This idea that blacks sold blacks into slavery is one of the most successful pieces of racist propaganda, even though it's absurd. And it serves as a source of continued stigma and division among the victims of the crime, the descendants of enslaved Africans, because they keep saying, go back to Africa and get your reparations from the people who sold y'all. The idea that black people sold every slave, sold the entire 12 million slaves that came over to America throughout the Caribbean, etc., is insane. It's asinine. It is asinine. Were there individual tribes that got involved in selling their people to Europeans? Yes. Was that the majority of those who were captured and enslaved? Hell to the no. So to try to create this narrative that white Europeans pulled up in a ship to the drive-through window and some African came out and said, may I take your order? And they said, I'll take 1,000 young bucks and I'll take 200 older black men and I'll take 300 bed wenches. How much is that going to be? And they gave them the credit card and swiped the card and loaded the slaves on the ship. That's how they trying to make this sound, how slavery happened. Like white folks just pulled up to Africa and ordered them some slaves, and black people just brought their order out. It's an asinine narrative. And you would think that somebody Larry Elder's age, but then again, I don't put anything beyond coons, you know, would have sense enough not to repeat that foolery. And then let's pretend that that's what happened. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's pretend they did just go up, put their order in. So after they got off the coast of Africa and put these black people into perpetual bondage, raped and murdered and brutalized and dehumanized and bred them, and then the subsequent generations and they ain't responsible yet. It's still on the people they bought them from. So everything they did to them after that, that's still their fault. That's still their fault. Y'all sound crazy with that whole narrative. Because if right now you pulled up at your boy's house, who you knew had some stolen property, and he's going to give it to you for cheap, and you get caught with the stolen property, you're going to jail. And they don't give a hamburger where you got it from. You still committed a crime. You can't be like, you know what? You better go get the reparation from Ray Ray. That's who I got it from. That is the most asinine argument. I can't believe grown black people actually use that argument to justify white supremacy. I know what Wills do. Wills just blame it on the black people in Africa. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning. I'd like to make a comment on with those who say that they have not benefited from chattel slavery in America.
No. Let me. I'm gonna let you make your comment, but let's just pause right there, and because what you just said triggered this response. People say, white folks claim they did not benefit from slavery, but they're supporting a curriculum in Florida that says enslaved black people did benefit from slavery. Now, how does that happen?
Well, I'm just making a comment that if we go back and look at this important situation, that Thomas Jefferson visit France to borrow funding, money to fund the American Revolutionary War. That debt had to be repaid, and the French has threatened to seize the port of Savannah as collateral, and even even though Louisiana was not a state, they had threatened to blockade some of the major southern ports if that debt was not paid. So fast forward about 30 or 40 years, cotton became a very valuable commodity. You see, cotton was king. They say that cotton was king, but it financed the expansion in Europe. Or the world commodity didn't prefer the Indian cotton or cotton throughout the other parts of the world. The American cotton was very was such demand. So with that equity involved, it had financed the American economy, and then fast forward about another 30 years, the American Industrial Revolution. So it going back when that debt was repaid, folks like Mr. Elders don't realize that when Thomas Jefferson went to France to borrow that money to finance the American Revolution, that's where this country was founded. So it runs in. I would urge your listening audience to read this book. It's one of the banned books. It's called the Negro in the 18th Century Williamsburg by Pat Tate. It's been banned. So it really spells out a lot of the economy of the South and how that the cotton had financed the American economic expansion. Thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate your call. Yeah, America's economy was 58th in the world. When that expansion happened, cotton became king. America went from 58 to number 2, only behind England. Off the backs of our ancestors working the cotton fields, because cotton became such a hot commodity around the world. Caller's absolutely correct. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781. Straight no chaser. You got the mic. Good morning. Well, let me go to the phone line while you connect. Good morning, caller. All right. All right, phone line don't want to act up. Straight no chaser. You got the microphone. Unmute.
Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning.
I'd just like to say that we need to get on board with this reparations together like we did on August 5th. Because this is an outstanding bill. This ain't them doing us no favor.
Right.
This is an outstanding bill.
It's a debt that's owed.
Yes, that you owe our ancestors. Now, who in America can forego paying their bills?
Mm-hmm.
And it don't go to no collection agency. We're going to have to be the collectors. Bottom line.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't understand it. But we're going to have to get on board together, like I said, like we did August 5th. That shows that we do have a lot of like-minded people that think the same way that the foundation of Black Americans do. And we are owed this. We deserve this. And I want mine. I don't want no apology and nothing else. We can talk about apology after you pay your bill.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, sis. Pay your bills. They're always talking about responsibility, taking care of our responsibilities. But then this one responsibility they don't want to take care of. They don't want no parts of this here responsibility. You know, what would have happened had they paid their debt in the beginning? Because those that were emancipated had been promised 40 acres and a mule. If they had been given that, all of the subsequent American history would have been changed. The black-white wealth gap would be sharply reduced. The well-being of African Americans would have been materially improved. Dr. Sandy Darity said that had such a racial land reform taken place in the late 1860s, that we could envision that the current differences in wealth between black folks and white folks would not exist, because the promise of that land would have been fulfilled, and there would be a different U.S. history unfolding over the course of the subsequent century and a half since emancipation. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. America, let me get my list back up here. Get my list back up here. Because America has paid reparations now. They've paid reparations. They paid $1.6 billion to Japanese. Japanese were interred. They were placed in internment camps during World War II in the 1940s. After Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, Japanese Americans were rounded up and put in internment camps in the 1940s. 1988, 40 some odd years later, people who had nothing to do with them being put in internment camps, people who weren't even alive when they were put in internment camps, a Republican president, Ronald Reagan, signed a bill into law to pay reparations to Japanese for being placed in internment camps for 3 years. Now, if a generation who had nothing to do with them being placed in internment camps can pay reparations to the Japanese for 3 years of confinement, we're not talking about being lynched, raped. We're not talking about being sold. We're not talking about being treated like cattle or property. And we're not talking about for 246 years and then another 150 years of Jim Crow, et cetera, et cetera. 3 years. They got reparations. But black folk, after everything our ancestors went through, we don't deserve reparations? The Ottawas got 32 million out of Michigan. The Chippewas of Wisconsin got 31 million. The Seminoles of Florida got 12.3 million. The Sioux of South Dakota, 105 million. The Klamaths of Oregon, 81 million. Alaska Natives got $1 billion and 44 million acres of property. And I can go on and on and on and on in terms of various demographics that America paid reparations to. And nobody has ever argued that they didn't deserve it. It's only when it comes to black people because of the incessant, unrelenting, wicked, systemic anti-blackness in America. That this is the response when it comes to our people. It's always the response, only when it comes to black people. That somehow, though we've gone through more than most all other groups, no one has experienced what we've experienced. But somehow, we don't deserve it. True words. You got the microphone.
Are you able to hear, Bishop? And good morning.
Good morning. Okay, I don't know what happened to True Words. Let me see if I can get him back. Let's see if I can get True Words back up in here. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781. True Words, if you put your request back in, not sure what happened to you, my brother, but we'll get you back on. M1, you got the microphone.
Good afternoon, Bishop. So, Bishop, I'm just gonna say this. This Larriota guy, he makes zero sense. Have you actually noticed that these so-called conservatives, that they didn't care about his presidential bid? Only reason why they care now is because of his bashing black people. Because I do believe that black Americans are.
Okay. All right. I think you got cut short. I don't know. Somebody told me, my man Untouchable Jay told me the other day that Twitter or X or whatever it was messing with my space and cutting people off the space the other day. And somebody's telling me this on YouTube as well. X app keeps shutting off. It's a horrible application for streaming. Okay. Yes. So apparently they're experiencing similar thing today with folks. So I don't know what's happening. I'll take one more caller. So good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm fair to middling.
You know, they don't realize that if they pay reparations to black people here, that this would be the richest country in the world. Because the money go right back in the economy.
Right. Well, see, and here's the problem. A lot of people are always trying to guess what would black people do with the reparations if they got it. To me, that's really none of your business. It's like, oh, black people, they're gonna go out and they're gonna buy a Mercedes, or they're gonna do this, or they listen. If you owe me some money, and you pay me the money you owe me, it ain't really none of your business. What if I bury it in a hole somewhere? It really just ain't none of your business what I choose to do with my money. It's just really that simple. Appreciate your call, man. I got to get out the way. Don Felton is in the studio. He's coming up next with mid-morning jazz and great black music. So those of you who are in the Pioneer Valley, stay tuned to Don. He's going to make it personal for you. Check me out on Monday on the Spoken Word. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. The Brick Church right there at Six Corners, 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday. We're building better tomorrows by changing lives today. NAACP Freedom Fund, October 19th. Get your tickets. Gina Stewart is going to be our speaker. It's going to be dynamic. A lot of other stuff coming up. I'll talk to you about it on Monday. Until the next time I talk to you, you talk to me. Always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Peace. Happy Friday.